Thanks for joining us on the CBN News Channel. This is Charlene Israel.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. Air travel gridlock has gripped the country this week. The FAA is blaming sequestration cuts, but Republicans say it's all political gamesmanship designed to convince voters that the government should raise taxes. Heather Sells has the latest.
Beginning this week, every air traffic controller is being furloughed 1 day out of every 10. The move is aimed to save $600 million this fiscal year. The cost to the American public, flight delays across the country, except in Washington area airports, which have been miraculously spared. In the first 3 days this week, travelers experienced 5,800 flight delays. Compare that with the same time period last year, in which there were 2,500 delays.
We refuse to sacrifice safety, even if it means less efficient operations.
The FAA says the furloughs are the only way to achieve the needed cuts, but some lawmakers, many who voted for the budget cuts causing the delays, say they were misled.
The first question I want answered is, why didn't you tell us about it beforehand?
Republicans are questioning the cuts, starting with House Speaker John Boehner, who tweeted that the White House could make cuts elsewhere and prevent the delays. #Obama flight delays. Bill Frezza at the Competitive Enterprise Institute says the delays represent a political calculation.
And I don't think there's any doubt right now that there's an attempt being made to convince the American people that we will all be better off if we pay more taxes. And directing these sequestration cuts where it causes the most pain is part of a strategy that's going to be playing out over the months ahead.
And the Wall Street Journal noted, quote, making smart choices about federal spending would spoil the fun of creating flight delays and then blaming Republicans. What remains to be seen just how fed up the public will become and what Americans will demand.
I honestly think if the American public screams loud enough, they probably will, but the public's going to have to yell loud and hard.
The FAA furloughs couldn't come at a worse time as the height of the summer travel season is about to begin. Almost 7,000 flights could be delayed daily, all because there are fewer air controllers to direct takeoffs and landings. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thanks, Heather. The surviving suspect in the Boston Marathon bombings stopped talking to the FBI after he was read his Miranda rights. Officials say Johar Tsarnaev acknowledged his role in the attacks before he was advised of his constitutional right to keep quiet and seek a lawyer. Tsarnaev's parents are not keeping quiet. They plan to fly from Russia to the U.S. today and hold a press conference. They're seeking permission to bring the body of their son Tamerlan back to Russia for burial. New information about Tamerlan is being released. U.S. officials say his name was added to a U.S. government terrorism database 18 months before the attacks. They say Russia contacted both the FBI and the CIA with concerns about Tamerlan and a possible terror connection.
All living American presidents unite in Dallas, Texas today to salute one of their own. Jimmy Carter, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and President Obama are attending the dedication of George W. Bush's presidential library. Thousands are expected to attend the festivities. President Bush has stayed out of the political spotlight since leaving office, but he did take a moment to address talk about his brother, Jeb, making a run for the office.
He would be a marvelous candidate if he chooses to do so. He doesn't need my counsel because he knows what it is, which is run. But whether he does or not, it's a very personal decision.
Later today, President Obama joins the Texas governor at a memorial to the victims killed in the Central Texas fertilizer plant explosion.
Some of the same people who passed Obamacare don't want to be forced to obey it. Members of Congress are working to get exemptions for them and their staff. Political.com reports lawmakers from both parties have been involved in confidential negotiations for months. Obamacare requires Americans to join insurance exchanges, but now congressmen like top Democrat Steny Hoyer don't like that idea. That's because they would have to pay thousands of dollars in new health care costs. This comes right after Senator Max Baucus announced that Obamacare is, quote, a huge train wreck coming down. Baucus helped to write the law.
Friday, President Obama will speak at a fundraiser for Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider. He'd been scheduled to give the keynote address at the main event, but recently pulled out. Some pro-life supporters say President Obama is the most pro-abortion president in history, and his unqualified support for Planned Parenthood is proof. John Waggy has more.
Single women were a big component of President Obama's re-election victory in November, and the campaign targeted them specifically with messages about government-funded contraception and abortion rights. Planned Parenthood President Cecile Richards says the group is proud to welcome the president, who they believe has done more for women's health and rights than any other president. In a statement, she wrote, "We fought alongside him to ensure that women's health access was expanded in the Affordable Care Act, and now we have to fight hard to ensure that the full promise of health care reform is realized for millions of women." If by women's health Planned Parenthood means abortion access, many pro-life activists would agree.
There's never been a pro-life bill that he liked or a pro-abortion bill that he didn't like.
The president's fundraising appearance comes as Philadelphia abortion practitioner Dr. Kermit Gosnell remains on trial for several counts of murder in the kind of clinic critics say should be far more regulated. The pro-life Susan B. Anthony's List has been running an ad that claims Planned Parenthood's promotion of women's health is a smokescreen for its almost total focus on abortion.
Abby Johnson was a clinic director for Planned Parenthood and worked there for 8 years.
I learned that Planned Parenthood is not about women's health at all. Their primary profit center and their entire corporate culture is about abortions.
But Planned Parenthood supporters say they're targeted by many federal and state legislators, including in Texas, where lawmakers voted to cut their funding.
The assault on Planned Parenthood makes no sense. It makes no sense fiscally. It makes no sense from a human perspective about making sure that women have access to health care. And it certainly makes no sense ideologically.
For critics, the presidential rhetoric they expect to be displayed at the Washington event will ignore the health and care of one group that can't speak for itself.
He is conspicuously leaving out an entire class of children who are yet unborn. And, you know, it is discriminatory. And these children suffer pain and agony by way of the abortion methods that whatever one is used.
John Waggy, CBN News.
Earlier, CBN's Mark Martin talked with Bishop Harry Jackson, senior pastor of Hope Christian Church in Bellsville, Maryland, about the president's strong support for abortion.
Many Christians are troubled that, as a self-proclaimed Christian, President Obama can support abortion so enthusiastically. Does it bother you as well?
It does bother me in that it blurs the lines of what it means to be a Christian. But I think his answer would be, as he quotes President Clinton, that abortion should be legal, they should be safe, and they should be rare. And in his first term, he put together a group of ministers and others who were supposed to lower the number of abortions in the nation. Unfortunately, Planned Parenthood and many other groups sidetracked the process. The group met no more than once or twice.
Some abortion opponents argue that President Obama should not speak at or even attend the gala, the Planned Parenthood gala, especially after the gruesome details from the Dr. Kermit Gosnell abortion trial. What do you think?
Well, I think it would be wise if he did not seem to so wholeheartedly endorse them. I think what he's got on his hands is a kind of a double standard. One side of him says, I'm for gun rights or to limit gun rights. I want to protect life of human beings. On another side, he says, I'm all for letting these kinds of atrocities go on on the abortion level. And it makes him seem like an ambivalent and a very weak leader.
Is this an in-your-face move now that Mr. Obama is in his second term?
I think President Obama has one challenge ahead of him. And I think his challenge is that he often does not count the consequences of some of his public appearances and some of the people he seems to affiliate with. And therefore, he's constantly retracting and adjusting his course. And so I would say that Planned Parenthood and other organizations of this ilk are going to continue their march forward. And he seems to be more of a pawn in their game versus being the master puppeteer himself.
Interesting. Bishop Harry Jackson, as always, we appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you for your stand and giving us this opportunity to speak.
Rhode Island is set to become the 10th state to legalize gay marriage. The state Senate passed legislation 26-12. The House has already approved the legislation and the governor supports it. The measure removes gender-specific language from the state's marriage laws. It does allow religious institutions to set their own rules for who is eligible to marry within their faith and specifies that no religious leader is obligated to officiate gay weddings.
Parents in Red Hook, New York are furious at middle school officials after their daughters were forced to pretend to be lesbians in an exercise to discourage bullying. The Linden Avenue Middle School anti-bullying campaign focused on homosexuality and gender identity. Parents say their daughters were embarrassed by the role-playing. Parent Mandy Kuhn told Fox News, quote, "She told me, 'Mom, we all get teased and picked on enough. Now I'm going to be called a lesbian because I had to ask another girl if I could kiss her.'" Kuhn says parents were given no warning of the event and no choice to opt out. School officials defended the workshop and say they're planning more.
A German Christian homeschool family is waiting on a federal appeals court to rule on their case for asylum in the U.S. The Romeike family has been living in Tennessee since 2008. The parents and their 6 children came here to get away from Germany's harsh treatment of homeschoolers. The family's attorney argued before the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals in Ohio that Germany's homeschool ban amounts to religious persecution. An appeals board overturned a 2010 lower court decision granting them asylum.
And coming up, an overwhelming majority of Americans say we lack true leadership. We'll talk to one man who says the church should be doing a better job of making men and women of vision and integrity.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 U.S. gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary? Oh, yes, that was terrible. Yes, it was. Help! And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes now.
America is suffering from a crisis of leadership. At least that's what 82% of Christian adults are saying in a new survey from the Barna Group. But one man is out to change that. Brett Lomenick is the president of Catalyst, a movement designed to equip and inspire young Christian leaders. And he joins us now by Skype. Brett, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Charlene. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. What has happened to leadership in our country? What's going on?
We are dealing with a generation that hasn't been equipped well to lead. And so many leaders today are stepping into roles and responsibilities, and they're not ready. They're passionate, they want to change the world, but they just don't have the tools yet in order to effectively lead well. So that's happening, along with, I think there's a sense of we've lost the passion for developing great leaders.
You've written a new book called The Catalyst Leader. What is your hope for this book when it comes to the next generation of Christian leaders?
Well, we want to inspire the next generation, and this whole idea of leading well, leading now is a mantra that we're living by. And hopefully, if we're able to equip leaders who are young in their 20s and 30s, that they're going to be able to finish well later. So that idea that over the next 30 to 40 years, we can actually see our generation step in and lead effectively, and hopefully change the leadership culture of our country, of churches, and of a generation.
Now, you've come up with 8 essentials of a change maker. Which ones stick out to you as the most important?
The first one is really important, this whole idea of being called. And for so many young leaders, trying to figure out, what am I here for? What am I purpose to do? What is my identity? And that's the reason we started with the essential of called, because we believe it's really, really important for your foundation to start with understanding who you really are.
What are some positive trends that you're seeing in the church and ministry environments?
Yeah, there's a lot going on that's really positive. I think collaboration is one that we see a lot. Churches, ministries, leaders working together, sharing best practices, sharing ideas. The whole idea of unity, I believe, is a move that's happening in the church. And you see many churches from different denominations, from different backgrounds, with different perspectives theologically, saying, you know what, it's okay for us to work together to impact our community.
Well, real quickly, you've also got a big Catalyst conference coming up in a week. What kind of impact have you seen from past events?
We love the idea that so many leaders from so many different communities are coming together for inspiration, for connection, and then hopefully we're releasing them back into their communities to be able to be catalysts, truly to be change makers, and to go and impact their communities and their cultures and their churches. So we love the idea that we can gather them together, inspire them, and then release them to go do the work that God's called them to do.
Good stuff. Brad Lomenick of Catalyst, thanks for joining us.
Up next, new gun laws in Colorado have law enforcement officials up in arms. Find out what the new laws are and why these lawmen are refusing to enforce them. Coming up after this.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans. with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right. You could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Last December, gun control became the hottest issue in the country after the Sandy Hook shootings. The call went out for tougher gun laws in states all across America.
But critics argue that these new laws won't prevent gun violence. We went to Colorado, ground zero of the gun control debate, to learn more. Tough new gun laws are popping up across the nation. In New York, certain firearms have been reclassified as assault weapons, and those who own them must start registering them. The law also limits the number of bullets in magazines to 7. Connecticut added more than 100 assault weapons to its list of banned firearms. As for ammunition, magazines are restricted to 10 rounds. Citizens can keep larger capacity magazines in their homes and use them at the shooting range. Owners of those magazines or the now banned weapons have until January 1st to register them. On the national level, Senate Democrats failed in their bid to pass new gun control measures. The bipartisan proposal would have created tighter background checks, ban assault weapons, and ban large capacity magazines.
This effort is not over.
President Obama says his administration will now take steps on its own without Congress. Possibly the biggest surprise happened out west in Colorado, where ammo magazines will be limited to 15, and expanded background checks begin July 1st. The move comes nearly a year after that deadly mass shooting at an Aurora movie theater. New gun restrictions here in Colorado have sparked intense debate, even among law enforcement officials. Some claim the new rules violate the Constitution, and they're refusing to enforce them.
You know, as sheriff, I was elected to set the priorities for my agency, and that's not it. Turning law-abiding citizens into criminals is not my priority.
Weld County Sheriff John Cook joins more than half of the state's 62 sheriffs, challenging the new laws in court. He believes the laws would make it harder for people who want guns for legal purposes to get them. About a dozen sheriffs spoke against the new laws during President Obama's recent visit to the state, a trip he made to push his administration's gun proposals.
We're filing it in federal court under the Second and 14th Amendment that if you outlaw magazines, you're outlawing the gun, basically. And the Supreme Court has already said you can't outlaw the guns. And so we feel it's an infringement on our rights as law enforcement officers and for the citizens that we protect. So we do believe that it's unconstitutional.
Sheriff Cook also argues the new rules give a false sense of security.
They're trying to make everybody feel good. These are feel-good, knee-jerk reaction laws, and politicians, what they do is they say, oh, well, we had a tragedy, so we need to do something. I think they give the people that are naive a false sense of security, like, oh, now we're safer, when actually we're not.
You have your Colorado driver's license?
Mel Bernstein runs the Dragon Arms gun shop in Colorado Springs. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold once visited the gun store before killing 13 in the Columbine school shooting.
The kids were here 30 days before they shot up the school. They wanted to buy an MP5 and an M60 machine gun.
Anyone wanting to purchase a long gun in Colorado must be 18 and 21 to buy a handgun. Because Harris and Klebold were both underage at the time, an 18-year-old female friend of the pair was going to purchase the weapons for them. The M60 is a fully automatic machine gun and requires a 90-day waiting period. Because the boys wanted the weapons sooner, they declined to purchase from Bernstein. There is no waiting period for shotguns, semi-automatic rifles, or handguns. The girl ultimately purchased a rifle for them elsewhere, something considered an illegal straw purchase. Bernstein says stricter gun laws won't stop criminals from getting guns illegally.
No matter what laws they make, the criminals are always going to get a gun. There's millions and millions of guns out there.
Sheriff Cook points to the case of the Colorado prison official gunned down at his home last month.
The murderer had a long criminal history. I mean, was in prison for many years. A woman bought that gun to give to him. So he didn't go in to get the background check. He had a friend do it who could pass one.
Coloradans are mixed on the issue.
I think there's some really good measures that they're trying to attempt to put in place, but with the widespread use and ownership of guns across America, I'm not sure that the current measures go far enough.
I'm not sure that it makes a big difference because you can really, I'm a physician, you can really do a lot of damage with 15 bullets. Being a physician, I'm a fan of mental health.
And these are the ones that are in support of my stance.
Meanwhile, Sheriff Cook isn't backing down.
My philosophy has always been an armed society is a polite society. And so we don't need to make it more restrictive. We need to loosen up the laws because we already have thousands of laws on the books with gun control. And so this is the wrong direction.
It's really interesting that the sheriffs, half of the sheriffs in the states oppose the laws, but there are some police officers who are actually supporting it. So it's a pretty interesting mix there.
Like the country, very divided.
Definitely, definitely.
Indeed. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop. You save.
Finally today, CBN Hong Kong staff recently held their 5th annual walkathon.
And it raised more than $15,000 to support CBN's ministry to the Chinese people. Over the past 10 years, CBN has produced hundreds of testimonies of Chinese whose lives have been transformed by God. The stories have been the core of the 700 Club Hong Kong. CBN also provides humanitarian relief to some of the poorest people in China and works closely with the churches in Hong Kong.
That is just so cute. The kids and everybody out there together. It's wonderful
work.
CBN's awesome. Thanks for joining us on the CBN News Channel. We hope you join us next time.
That is it for us for now. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.